call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Clerk Cody, would you do the honor of roll call for the board, please?
Supervisor Milkey,
Here?
Treasurer Rice,
Here.
Trustee Brown,
Here.
Trustee Help,
Here.
Trustee Bills,
Yeah, here.
Trustee Thering,
Here.
Clerk Cody here. All are here.
That brings us to item 4 on the agenda, approval of agenda. Happy to entertain any motions related to that.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Support.
Motion by Brown, I heard support by Bills first. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion to approve the agenda passes unanimously. We have no presentations or public hearings tonight, so that takes us directly to item 7, public comment. And I just want to take a moment to remind everybody, this is our first hybrid meeting where we have both virtual attendance using Zoom and or YouTube, depending on your preference, or via phone, and in person. And so I'm going to ask the public that may be there that have a little patience with us. We're still ironing out the kinks, and hopefully this is a positive thing for our community. And hopefully the gremlins don't get in the way too much where we may have to change direction, because I know this board is excited about the opportunity to be more transparent and open to our public. So with that, we'll open up public comment. Yes, sir.
And just real quick before we do, we are going to have a staff member up at public comment we have an item on the consent agenda, and just to create opportunities for the board to see how it's working during public comment. Ms. Smith will speak briefly to that consent agenda item. We normally don't speak to, it's a fencing item, but we thought we'd take advantage of that opportunity.
Very good, thank you. All right, again, back to item 7 of public comment. Public comment is restricted to 3 minutes regarding items on this agenda. If you're in person and you choose to address this board and public, please state your name and address for the record. In fact, regardless of how you choose to address the public, state your name and address for the record. If you're dialed in via Zoom, I believe, let me read the instructions so I don't get it wrong. You can click on reactions icon on the bottom of your screen. Next, click on the raise hand icon near the bottom right corner of the screen to get attention. If you raise your hand, you'll be recognized in some order that we're able to come to here. And if you're on phone only, dial *9 on your phone. Into Zoom via phone, dial *9 to request raising your hand. And with that, we'll open up public comment at 7:04 p.m. Seeing no one in person
Kim's
coming
got her hand
forward.
raised.
Tara, do we have someone with
Kim.
Kim?
Smith.
Kim Smith, you have the floor.
Sorry, Kim.
No audio. Yep, now we can.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Kim Smith. My address is 1122 South Loomis Road, Mount Pleasant, Michigan. And I am addressing the board tonight as a test to our new virtual meetings and public comments, so you can see how this works, as well as to just briefly talk about the item on the consent agenda, which is the installation of a 6-foot black chain link fence around the water tower located on Lincoln Road, which is right outside the window of the board room. The fence is being installed upon inspection by the DEQ, or Eagle, I'm sorry, they changed so many times it's hard to keep track. One of the comments from that inspection was that for security reasons, we should have a fence around that water tower similar to the other two elevated water towers that we have within the water system. So as part of the FY 2022 budget, funds were placed in the budget to pay for the installation of that water tower, or the fencing around the water tower. So tonight in your packet in the consent agenda is the results of the bids we received and a recommendation for that installation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have anybody else with their hands raised? So seeing no further public comment at this time, we'll close public comment at 7:06 PM. We have no closed sessions slated tonight. That brings us to item 9, report boards and comments. Just briefly, looking at the various boards, I noticed ZBA, all of those positions expire at the end of this year, like some of the other boards. So we'll need to begin to reach out to our members to see if they want to reapply and or invite other members to apply for some of those seats as well. So I'll try to collate that, maybe send an email out to this board of seats that are opening up in the next 3 or 4 months. We have activity report supplied separately, Planning Commission, EDA, sidewalks, and ZBA updates by our Community and Economic Development Director, who is attending virtually this evening. And is Mr. Nanny with us this evening?
Yes.
Mr. Nanny, you have the floor.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here with you tonight, remotely. We'll start tonight with the Zoning Board of Appeals. Our Board of Appeals did not meet in August, and actually also their September meeting has been canceled, both due to a lack of agenda items. Our EDA Board did meet on August 16th. They received a presentation from Chris Raleigh, the head of the Mount Pleasant Area Convention and Visitors Bureau, who talked about their destination marketing efforts and how they're working for the businesses in our EDA districts. In that regard, we also the EDA board also approved a partial payment on the Remus Road sidewalk project, which I'll talk about a little bit more in just a minute. The Planning Commission did not have a regular meeting on August 16th. That's your usual night. Instead, they were able to attend as a group. The majority of commissioners were able to attend the Michigan Township Association sponsored training session that was held on the 16th here in Mount Pleasant. We reported back that they gained a great deal out of that. They rescheduled their meeting, which was held yesterday, August 23rd. And as part of that meeting, they had one agenda item, and that was a final site plan application for a project called Heirloom Grove. This is an agricultural tourism project. Whiteville Road, the active farm operation there, is going to be adding a farm market and some other agritourism business activities there. The final site plan was in good order, it was approved. So that project will be moving forward to construction shortly. The Sidewalk and Pathways Committee did not meet. Their next meeting is in late October. But I do want to take the advantage of the opportunity to report on the sidewalks. We have 2 sidewalk projects that have been under construction this summer. One, the Remus Road sidewalk between Bradley and Lincoln that I mentioned earlier, and the South Lincoln Road sidewalk right here by the Township Hall down to the Lex Funeral Home. Those projects are very near completion now, as you can see, and they add just under a mile of new public sidewalk between the 2 of them. So we're very happy to see those projects wrapping up. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
I might recommend a question just for practice here. Trustee Bills.
What other projects are we gonna be doing for sidewalks this year, do you think?
Well, there is a private development project that added something over sidewalk. That's the Dunkin' Donuts and Maritime Gas Station on Broomfield Road and Isabella Road. Those sidewalks are also in, and you count that in our total. But the developer has installed those as part of that development. We are currently working on the sidewalk project here at the Township Hall over in McDonald Park that the board authorized earlier this summer. The surveyors were out this week doing their work in preparation for putting the plans together for that project, which our engineering firm has indicated that they're aiming towards potentially a construction yet this fall. It will depend on weather and availability of contractors, but they're working diligently to bring that project to a point ready for construction as well.
And I had one more question. Is it Sam's Club gas station going in, do you think, or?
Yes, I'm glad you asked about that one. You may have seen it, the article in the newspaper
Oh,
just
no.
about a week ago. There was an update on that project. It was a very nice article. Sam's Club, unfortunately, they were approved in 2021 for their filling station, which included a long stretch of sidewalk along Concord Boulevard. They ran into an issue, essentially a paperwork issue, an easement issue, that tied them up for a very long time. They wrapped that up and got that all in order this spring, just in time to run into a change in state law related to how close their new underground fuel tanks can be to our municipal wells. They had approval from the state in 2021 for the location that they were planning to put them, but that approval had expired because they didn't start construction. And a new law went into effect right at the end of June that required an additional separation distance. They are currently working on solving that problem. They have solved it. They are going to need to provide us with a new site plan, but it is something we can approve administratively that will relocate those tanks so that they comply with the amended state law. They are at this point planning to start construction in the spring. They're not going to be ready to start this fall, but they're intending, they are still on the schedule, on their schedule to start construction, and they absolutely are committed to doing the work. But at this point, we'll probably be seeing it next spring.
That's excellent. Thank you.
Any other questions? Trustee
How
Hauck?
many building projects do we have going on in the township right now? I know of one, that's the gas station. I mean, do you know of any other building projects we have going on?
Oh, we certainly have numerous building projects. I couldn't tell you right offhand how many. Obviously, some are large, some are small, but it has been a fairly busy summer for construction.
It just doesn't seem like there's much actually being physically built right now. I go around the township and around the city pretty much every day. It just seems like other communities I'm around, Alma, places like that, seems like there's more going on. So I have concerns.
So I can think of some, I know site plans that have gone through the planning commission,
Like the den.
like the den, like the gas station, the commercial gas station, I think, on
Dunkin' Donuts.
Pickard and
Oh, yeah,
Isabella.
Chris.
I know, but
They had that dollar store or whatever that was over there. That went up.
Trustee Therian sits on our planning commission, but I know
Yeah.
you guys have been doing that, but yeah, I think probably current construction, right, is
well, I'm going to be
Probably
honest
limited.
with this board. I had a meeting with the gas station owner out at the owner and the developer out on Lincoln or Isabella and Broomfield, and we're lucky they're here. I asked them why they didn't build last year, and they almost considered not building here because of all of our requirements. So I just wanted to let you know that they won't come and say anything. I'm sick of hearing this in the community. I mean, I can name many builders, many developers that would like to sit in here and say something, but they're afraid of retaliation. Because if they feel they come in here and say something, then they feel that their projects are going to get more regulations put on them or something. So I just want people to be aware of that. We had a Peterbilt. Peterbilt wanted to build in our community. It's not funny, Rodney. I know you're laughing about it or kind of smirking at me. You told me that Peterbilt wanted to move because they weren't happy with their landlord. You know who's building their building? Their landlord. If they're not happy with their landlord, why is their landlord building their building?
I can tell you that Peterbilt did not come to the township before making the decision to leave.
They knew how much it was going to cost to build in the township, is why they left. They knew of all the requirements, and they said, we'll go to Claire. You know, we're the type of community that if you want to come to our community, this is what you have to do. Other communities are saying, what can we do to you, or what can we do for you to get you to come to our community? I mean, I'm getting a little bit sick of this. Everybody's smirking at me. I'm in the building trades. I hear what these people say. You know, we need to start being more business friendly, and we aren't.
I don't think anybody's smirking at you, Bill.
Well, I see a couple people.
People are trying to be cordial here. They're
Well,
trying
we
to have-
need to start thinking about what we're doing.
I
I
do
mean,
think about what we do.
well,
I
I
think
guess I
we have a
don't-
structured plan of how to build our community, and the taxes are also probably a lot cheaper in Clare. So, that's a factor for a lot of builders too.
I had a call
There's
today.
also not the same traffic.
Next time
either.
I get a call, I'll have them talk to you.
Yeah, go
That'd be
for it.
great.
I would
Okay,
appreciate
I
that.
will. I tell them to come here.
Thank you.
Lisa knows I had a call today. I was on the phone with her. I had a phone call from a business that wants to do some work. But they have to build a sidewalk to nowhere. They have to put a new sign
Okay,
in.
not gonna go there.
No, I know we're not gonna go there because we're spending more money on sidewalks than we are on roads. It's ridiculous.
You know, the planning commission bill just recently went through all the ordinances. There was plenty of opportunities for
I know, I
for
tell
local
people, but
people
they
to
don't
make
wanna
phone
go.
calls. If they were concerned that there may or may not be retaliation, they could have reached out to any one of the 9 commissioners to say, I'm not discrediting anything that you're saying. I believe you're being honest with us, but I'm not gonna go make something up. I'm not gonna go, if somebody has a concern, they have to reach out to us so we
I
can
say it
help.
daily, James, to people. I ask them to come to our meetings.
I appreciate that.
And I can give you names. Jeff, I've given you a couple of names of people. You know?
But they do have to come in front of
Right,
have
they
to.
have to come and say something in public.
Please.
Quit calling me and having me want to do this. You do it yourself. You know, I mean, whatever. I don't want to, I guess I'm arguing too much.
We've had people come to us at the planning commission, I believe Mr. Coyne did, with solar, and had somebody come present, and we as a planning commission listened to them, and we made an amendment to, correct me if I'm wrong, Rodney, I think we made an amendment to that ordinance to allow him for his project. So we are very open to listening to what people have to say. And there was the project, I believe, the project was approved. Whether it's done or not, that's up to Mr. Coyne. And I really appreciated him taking the time. And I understand your frustration because you're kind of getting it from both sides right now.
Right, I get it from all the contractors. Okay, the gas station over here that we just talked about being built.
Yeah.
They just built a 140-unit retirement home in Portland, Michigan. The water and sewer hookup fees for that 140-unit building was less than what our water and sewer hookup fees were for this one gas station. I'm being cut off here, so I'll shut up.
You're not being cut off.
I feel like I am, so let's go.
Well, I just want to see if I can speak for the board. If there was, there may be a feeling of if we come and speak, well, there's retaliation. But I don't think anybody on this board would it be acceptable to that.
No,
No.
Because
I
all-
ask people to come,
because-
they won't come.
Or just.
Every
email
applicant should be
it. And when I
treated
say
the
this,
same.
I'm not actually saying it
I
to you,
know.
I'm saying it to whoever's listening. Email the planning commission, the trustees, please reach out to us if you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a list of names, but I don't want to say it because
Well, that's up to them.
right, and that's why I wish they would come.
Right.
Email, and I said before, email the whole board, don't just call me.
Right.
Today, I told the guy to call you.
Yep,
Yeah.
thank you, Bill, for doing that. But I don't necessarily think that indicates issue here. We can't fix something if we don't know.
What it is.
Right.
We
Well,
Right.
don't
Absolutely.
know.
Right.
And I'm not putting the blame on them, but it has to start with them.
well, we need to hear it from the public
We
so
do.
we can adjust things.
Yes, sir.
I mean, if sewer and water hooks ups are outlandish like that, that contractor told me that the water and sewer hookup fees for that gas station are higher fees than he's ever paid for any project in the 32 years he's been in business.
It's
And I asked
rural,
him-
it's rural, so, you know, there's probably several, you know, a lot of feet of pipe and whatnot, I don't know.
Connie, it's right outside, the pipe is right next to the road.
Well,
It's not a
Bill,
lot
you know
of,
what, I'm not gonna get into it.
I know you
all right?
will.
Yep,
I mean,
let's-
let's talk more sidewalks.
I appreciate
Let's
you
move on.
saying something,
This-
Bill. I mean,
Well,
please encourage them to reach out. We're all open to listen.
Sidewalks
Are-
are not the top priority in this community. I mean, they're a priority. I care about them. I mean, I was gonna say something tonight about how good our sidewalks are. I was in Birmingham over the weekend for the Woodward Dream Cruise. Sidewalks are 3 foot wide. You get two couples walking next to each other, you have to step away, where ours are perfect. I mean, I love our sidewalks out here.
Are there further questions for Mr. Nanny while we have him? Mr. Nanny, I appreciate you connecting in virtually tonight. Thanks for being willing to do that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
With that, we'll go to board member reports. Start with Trustee Brown.
I do not have a report tonight.
Trustee Bills?
I attended the Isabella County Board of Commissioners work session on August 16th. And just a couple of items, they're using, anecdotally, they presented the budget, the administrator controller presented the budget, and they are using $1 million worth of their ARPA funds for fiscal '23. Just a factoid. And then there was another thing that keeps coming up is this Dollar General thing in 3 of the townships that have filed with the tax tribunal to get this quote dark store status or something and get their taxes reduced by like 50%. So that's Township, Deerfield Township, and Sherman Township. So that's interesting. They were wondering if maybe they might try to do that with all of their stores around the state, but I talked to emailed manager Stuhldreher, and he said we haven't gotten anything like that from them for us, so that's good. And then one of the commissioners mentioned at the Isabella County Fairgrounds, there's gonna be a tire pickup thing on October 1st, and then hazmat's on 10/22. And they're approving a millage for the medical care facility because apparently they need to do a lot of more renovation. 18 of their beds, almost 20% of their beds still have 1965 plumbing. So, there's that. And then, that's about all I've got on that. Thanks.
Thank you. Trustee Therian?
Yes, we did not have a regularly scheduled planning commission meeting on the 16th. Back in July, Mr. Nanny had talked to us about an opportunity for a conference that was actually happening at the Comfort Inn. And the subject was hot topics in planning and zoning. And so the majority of us actually attended. One, I think, did attend virtually. Couple just scheduling couldn't make it. So we attended, and that was a nice conference. I'm glad it was brought up to us because I don't think we would have caught that. But they talked about solar farms and short-term rentals, like someone possibly having a home on a lake and they rent it out, or close to a lake and they rent it out, and it becomes potential nuisance for those that live there year-round. And just talked a little bit about it. Very interesting. I appreciated the opportunity, and it was good. So, and then yesterday, of course, we had the makeup meeting for the planning commission, in which case Mr. Nanny talked about the Heirloom Grove final site plan, so, which was approved.
So with the short-term rentals, do they also, that include like Airbnb type
Yeah,
of
I believe,
situations? Yeah.
yep. Lots of different, you know,
Right.
avenues into a lot of different ways, but we talked, a lot of questions, I think, revolved around that, and a lot of their discussion, revolved around that, so. It was good.
Yeah,
Good
awesome.
training.
Treasurer Rice.
All right, it's that time. I have to start plugging every meeting. Taxes. Taxes are due September 14th. Everybody knows mail is slow, so start bringing them in. Or you can actually pay online if you go to our website, uniontownshipmi.com. There's a link right on the home page, right next to the picture. Click on the current taxes. You can enter in either your name, address, parcel number, any of those. Enter it in. It'll bring it right up, and you can pay them right there online. Other than that, that's all I got right now. So-
Okay. As usual, EDA, Mr. Nanny did a good job. The only thing I'll add regarding, he mentioned the Mount Pleasant Area Convention and Visitors Bureau came, and so they gave us their annual report. It is from 2021, so it's a bit in the past at this point. But 2021, they saw modest increases in business activity, partly because a lot of meetings, remember COVID was still pretty dark at that point, and people didn't attend meetings. So hotel rooms vacancies were up.
Yeah.
But they are seeing some, what they think preliminary numbers are looking much more like a reasonable rebound at this point. So that's encouraging. Probably not a surprise, but nice to hear. And with that, we'll go to our clerk, Cody.
I just have a question. When people are on the virtual talking to us, what do they see? Can they see us, or what do they see?
Good question.
I'm just curious. Does
Please.
anybody know?
Yeah, do you know? Because I'm not sure.
They will see you, and you will see them.
Okay. I was just-
Thank you.
So can they see us right now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I just like.
Isn't it through our camera here? Is it through?
There's
Up
one
there.
Yeah, they're all over.
Yeah, so,
I just.
Trustee, I'm sorry, I was,
Nope, I
I'm
didn't
Clerk
have
Cody.
anything. I just wanted to ask.
Oh,
That was it? Okay.
I went to a road commission meeting on August 11th. Equipment that they had ordered over 400 days ago is finally starting to come in. They had some new trucks that they needed the boxes and blades for. Those are finally coming in, they said. Gravel road refurbishing is pretty much done. I don't know if anybody knows if they've been by there, but work was supposed to begin on Carriage Lane. So I'm not sure if that's been ground and paved yet or not. I haven't been out that way.
I'm not aware that it's been actually started yet.
Okay, well, I'll drive by tomorrow and see. Mission Road from Roundabout in Mount Pleasant to Roundabout in Clear, completion of all that is supposed to start September 8th. Rosebush Road, there's 3 miles where, I don't know, when the windmills were being built, if anybody went down Rosebush Road and saw their staging area, the roads are all cupped, especially Rosebush Road. That's gonna get torn up and repaved by September 30th. Then they've been having safety meetings and starting on their 2023 budget. So, yes,
I have a question. Do you know how long that corner's gonna be shut down for?
middle of November, that's what it
It said,
said.
like, it's just shut down.
Yeah.
So
Is-
Awful.
it seems, I mean, there's 2 big things going on there. There's drainage issues, and there's then the road. And the road, they're taking down all the way and creating a new bed for it.
See, I haven't been by there, I mean, you live out there, so.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, knowing the project and what they're doing,
It's a lot.
as a funding partner, but 3 months, I mean, a lot of questions from community members saying that they're going to close it the entire time for just doing the corner. I tried to explain to them that this is a bigger project, that there's drainage, et cetera, but I guess I had half expected they might go after the drainage and not have to close the road completely, maybe leave lanes open. But on Facebook, yeah, when they said 3 months, I thought they never go past November 15th, partly hunting day. But they seem to be done then. And so to run into late November, I'm shocked by that. And so I don't know if maybe they're promising the worst and hoping for the best, and that there may be, do you have any feeling for any of that?
I have gotten so many phone calls on that, so many texts, emails, and this thing just started.
Well, the
Yeah.
thing is, you also can't turn left on Mission now to High Street because there's so many people backed up on it. Nobody, they can't change that turn signal because it's a federal road. You know, I'm sure they can't change it, the timing of it.
Yeah, and there's not a good detour there. I mean, it's a long detour.
Yeah.
I have people say to me, well, why'd they start it now? Just before CMU starts. Well,
Yeah.
there was all the underground work to do. So, and then there were delays like in piping and stuff for the underground, so that's why it started later. So,
I don't think
And-
there's really any good time to start.
It doesn't
No.
matter.
No, there
it
isn't.
really
Yeah,
doesn't.
just ignore it.
well, I had
It has to be
people
done.
ask, like, Deerfield Road, I've had a lot of calls on Deerfield Road. How come Deerfield Road's so dusty? Well, our third coat of brine is going down the day after Labor Day. And then they put 24 tons of limestone down on Deerfield Road, and 12,000 gallons of brine were applied just this week. I drove down it today purposely because I had so many calls on it. It's a little bit dusty, but you can tell that they brined it when you get onto the paved roads, when they turn. You know how it always looks after you pull off a road that's been brined. It's stained, just say, from the brine. And it is on Deerfield and it is on Whiteville Road. But, yeah, people aren't happy about it. So.
No, and I think the struggle I've had from the public is most of the public doesn't really know who does the roads and who's responsible for what. They don't understand that, we're a funding partner. This is a Isabella County Road Commission project. And so a lot of questions that come to me from my neighbors and community members.
Right.
And I'm like, this, all the township has done is provided some funding for this. This is, we have no control over the project. And they're like, well, who do we voice this to? And I'm like, well, you go to the road commission. And so for the public that's been asking about this, there is a county road commission meeting tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. I believe their meetings are, second and
4:30.
fourth
It's 4:30
Thursday,
tomorrow.
4:30 tomorrow? Isn't it usually 6?
They changed them. Now they're at 4:30. They changed them a couple of years ago.
Okay. So, I mean, I can try to field questions, we all can, but the reality is that we don't know much more about how this project's gonna unfold and what that means to the local residents there, any more than anybody else.
I'm sure the residents that live right on that corner are being kept up to date by the road commission, but via a flyer.
We have a
got
trustee
one
that
right
lives
there.
right in the middle of it.
They didn't even say anything to you at all?
As far as Mr. McGurk pulled in, and told me we're gonna be grinding the road tomorrow and there'll be closed down signs right here.
Okay,
About 24 hours.
well, that's all right.
Yeah,
Well, how much
I'm good
notice
with
do you
it.
need, I mean,
I'm good. No,
You know.
it's,
Yeah, you live closer to it than
it's,
anybody.
I'm watching the progress and they'll go at it. If the community just keep them from driving through my yard, I'll be good.
So,
I'll
when
buy you a bag of grass seed.
There you go. I'll take it.
when you're at your meeting tomorrow with them, will you try to query about, that 3 months that they posted that it's gonna be closed, is that a hard close, or are there gonna be times that they may open that up, one lane even? I'm just
Might know
curious.
more about that than I do. I don't.
Well,
You're gonna be
I have
there
asked, you're gonna be
I mean,
there,
yeah,
so
I'll ask.
if you can
Okay.
try to find out and,
And then
that'd
if
help
they
us
say
field
that,
questions.
I'll send everybody an email.
Thank you.
that would be
That'd
appreciated.
be great.
There is more coming on at this meeting yet, right? On this closure down here. Are you gonna bring something up, or is Kim on the closure down here?
On Lincoln and Deerfield?
I don't,
Or, yeah. Well,
As it relates
Tony
to
called me today, and the, you know, maybe going from Lincoln Road to Crawford Road, is that coming up yet tonight?
I received an email on that today,
Okay.
so I've
And
got
I know
time to
Kim
adjust
and
it.
Tony were talking,
That would be in our minds a separate project
yes,
from what we're
yes,
talking about
yes.
right now.
there's 2 projects, actually 3. I'm gonna bring another one up, but do I do that now or wait till,
Is it part of your report?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, while it's closed down, it was suggested that Lincoln Road get done. Lincoln Road from Broomfield Road to Deerfield Road. That road's in terrible shape. To have it done from Lincoln Road Lincoln Road done from Broomfield to Deerfield, it would be a full grind and pave, 3 inches of asphalt, 11-foot lanes, 3-foot wide gravel shoulders at a cost of $240,000.
Who suggested this? The road commissioner?
Road Commission,
Oh.
and then I know we've talked, there's been talk over the last couple of years of redoing something with Lincoln Road. And I know we've talked about it here before.
That mile?
My
That-
mile's
Particular
terrible.
mile? That particular
Yeah, that's
mile we've
bad.
talked about?
Yeah,
And that's one of the worst roads in our township?
it is bad.
It's
Okay.
Was this some time ago? Because I don't
No,
even
it-
remember.
I know we brought
discussing
it
it.
up, because I
Okay.
remember, because I had
I'm not
to take voter
disbelieving.
ballots down that way a few times,
Do you have any knowledge of this, manager,
but that road is bad.
as far as communication with the road commission on this?
Lincoln Road from Broomfield to Deerfield,
Yeah.
I've heard 0.
I know we've talked about it here.
We've talked about it here for the last several years.
Yeah,
But anything in the last 2 years, and particularly in the last 5 days, or ever, from the road commission as it relates to that stretch being talked about as potentially imminently done or approaching us, I've heard 0.
well, that's,
I did hear something just today regarding Broomfield east of Lincoln to the city limits,
right,
which is different than this
Yes,
prior one.
yes. And that's what I was,
I've read one email one time, and that's about all I've done, so.
well, I
I'm
know
not-
Tony called me today and he said that him and Kim had discussed some of it, so. And I didn't
Okay.
know if Kim was gonna bring it up tonight or not.
Well,
No,
maybe,
neither was I.
Okay.
maybe we'll hear something
You'll
through
hear something soon.
proper channels then.
Yeah.
Well, just, you know, I know Tony said that while the road's closed down, they'd like to get that done.
Right.
Just, instead of closing the road down twice. And then the same thing with Lincoln Road going to the south. I mean, instead of closing it down again,
Yeah,
That
I'm
would
not
all be
sure.
on us,
I
though,
I
too.
just know that the current project took a very long time, several years, and now adding all these on while it's boom, 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 it does, you know, I think we need an opportunity to
Reflect.
understand it.
Yeah.
I know there might be some time constraints. You know, for all I know, maybe they lost some funding from the feds and, you know, they're coming to us and I don't know, but
well, did
wh-
you? Yeah.
why it is all of a sudden after,
Yeah.
you know, it took so many years for that stretch. You know, I'm not gonna make recommendations to the board to spend $700,000 on just an email that I received today. So if you would, just give me an opportunity to look into it, and if we have opportunities that make sense and we have funding that makes sense, then I'd call a special meeting if
Yeah.
necessary,
Well,
or request a special meeting.
I don't know, did you get the text I sent you about a month ago? I sent you a text about a month ago about that,
You-
about how prices are, I'm on the Rosebush Manor Board.
Yeah, I remember that,
Did you
yeah,
get that
prices
text?
are going
Right,
up.
prices are gonna go up 20 to 30%. That's what Central Asphalt's figuring for next year. So that's why I sent you that text. Maybe we should, you know, between you and I, and maybe we should think about doing Lincoln Road if it, you know, knowing that prices are gonna go up. So, I know you and I haven't talked about it since,
Right.
but that was like 5 weeks ago or whatever.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't own the roads, and
Right.
And I hate to speculate too much without something more formal from the road commission,
Yeah.
which would be nice to see.
I'm glad Tony reached out to Kim. Kim sent
Yeah.
me a note today, but I'm not in a position to speak intelligently about any of it tonight.
Neither am I.
There were 2 projects, that one, and then the one down here on Bradley and Pickard,
The light,
the light,
Oh, yeah.
the
that,
request for 50,000 from the road commission and us, right?
I believe we've helped already.
Have we? I'm not sure.
I believe we've executed a participation agreement for that some time ago. I have no idea what the status of that is.
I thought that money was all coming at first from the state, but now it's not or something?
Well, like I say, Bill, or I'm sorry, Trustee Hauk, I've made notes of your questions and we'll get answers back. But,
Well, I didn't
you
know,
know,
that's why I
right now,
thought
sitting
maybe-
here, I have no idea what's going on with Bradley and
Right.
Pickard.
Well, I didn't know if Kim was gonna bring it up tonight or not. I know Tony said that they had discussions about it, so, yesterday, so.
Very good. Anything else in the road commission then?
No.
Any other questions? I appreciate you asking some questions tomorrow so that we're better able to field questions, since in the positions we're in, we tend to get a lot of those questions about road closures. So with that,
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
we have a motion by Rice, support by Bills to approve the consent agenda.
Everything looked good.
You had the warrants, thank you. You're jumping in front of me, I like it. Any questions, comments? We already heard some comments from staff regarding the fencing here. So, without objection, all in favor of the motion to approve consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Consent agenda passes unanimously. That now brings us to item 11, new business. New business, item A. This is our proposed second reading adoption of PREZ 22-02, Mid-Michigan College rezoning map amendment. We did visit this prior, and manager introduced it at that point. Do you have anything to add to that?
I do not, thank you.
So this board should be familiar with it, and I'd be happy to entertain any motions or discussion.
I move to conduct a second reading for and to adopt the PREZ 22-02 zoning map amendment as requested by Mid-Michigan College to rezone the 3 parcels totaling 2.59 acres of land PID 14-013-40-002-00, 003-00, and -1012-00 on the west side of South Somerton Road in the southeast quarter of Section 13 from R1 Rural Residential to B4 General Business District.
Support.
Motion by Bills, support by Rice. Discussion?
It's roll call.
All I'll add is that there was general support and positive comments for this last time.
Absolutely.
I'm assuming views haven't changed, but that can be reflected in your vote if that's the case. Everybody ready for a vote?
Yes.
Roll call then?
Supervisor Milky,
Aye.
Clerk Cody, yes. Treasurer Rice,
Yes.
Trustee Brown,
Yes.
Trustee Bills,
Yes.
Trustee Hauk,
Yes.
Trustee Thering,
Yes.
all yeses.
Thanks for joining us for a couple weeks.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Motion passed. That takes us to item B on our agenda, Policy Governance 2.9, collaboration with other entities. This is a portion of our policy governance that actually is more reflective of our manager. And with that, I'll let our manager introduce this, since it's more about your interpretation of the policy governance and compliance.
Thank you. And this report for policy governance 2.9, collaboration with other entities, begins on page 31 of your agenda packet. This policy is rather short. I'll just read it verbatim. In order to maximize the achievement of ends, the township manager shall not fail to explore strategic partnerships and intergovernmental cooperation and to optimize collaboration with other entities in the region where appropriate. I interpret that policy to indicate that it is important to develop these professional relationships within the community, whether it's with other governmental units or nonprofits or the private sector, and as appropriate, engage those partners in the exploration of things where synergies can be created, collaborative service deliveries can be explored, and as important as anything is just to build personal relationships amongst folks in the community. And part of the interpretation is also a recognition that some of the time and energy of the organization, and maybe more specifically the township manager, is to look outside of just the four corners of the corporate boundaries of the township, because we are a region, and as citizens go, they really don't know when they're passing from one area of government to another. I believe that justification is reasonable based on simply my reading of the policy itself. There's data that supports adherence to this policy that begins on the bottom of page 31 and carries over to 33. I won't go over all of those. You can read them. I will point out a couple that are, I think, worth mentioning. The EDA is very active and provides financial support for a whole host of entities around the area, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, Middle Michigan Development Corp. We partner with Artreach on the Festival of Banners, and that then brings in other entities, the city, the tribe, Mercantile Bank, Isabella Bank. Another data point is I have been providing, as needed, what I'll call technical support to the Mid-Michigan Aquatic Recreational Authority. They've been doing a lot of work over the last year, and on that point, I think in September we'll be hearing a report from that chair to update the board on where they're at and what they're doing and where they're heading. The Isabella County Emergency Management Department is spearheading a project to update the county hazardous mitigation plan. We're at the table for that. Our Community and Economic Development Director chairs the Airport Joint Operations Board, which is a board made up of several entities, government, tribe, I think the university as well. The township provided financial support for the lighting of Hannah's Bark Park not too long ago. So a lot of times our collaboration is more than just sitting around meeting, but actually putting some money behind that collaboration. I continue to meet weekly with the county administrator and the city manager, and to develop those relationships. The public services director is the chair of the Mid-Michigan Cable Consortium, routinely attends the 2 meetings a month for the road commission, so we can, with the road commission meetings, so we can stay dialed in with that. We're a routine and I think steady partner with the road commission in terms of funding. To my knowledge, there's never been a request where we have not been able to honor most, if not all, of their requests when we're partnering to share resources to improve our roads. The township is working and with the Renaissance Academy Charter School to try to improve some signage in that area to alert the drivers on Isabella Road that there's a school there, and we have some signage that the school, the road commission, and the township provided some funding for that signage. The county is initiating a project to study their materials recovery facility. We're at the table for that. And the Public Services Director is at the table with a group that's trying to develop a multi-jurisdictional storm water management master plan. Stormwater management is of course a big deal around here. And we are a funding partner with the city as we're trying to create more non-motorized pathway along North Harris / Crawford Road from Pickard north into Mission Creek. There's 8 other data presented in the report that I didn't refer to. You can look at that. But based on this report, I'd like to suggest that the administration and the manager is in compliance with this policy. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Comments, questions?
Nice report.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I would,
don't have a
I would
question.
agree, we're in
Had a
compliance
com-
too.
I just had a comment that was an excellent report. It lightens my eyes to see your list that you have.
Thank you.
Very busy.
Thank you.
Don't be afraid to show that more often because
Absolutely.
we're not in the building every day. So obviously we get things every meeting, but it's okay to do one of these. That's helpful to me.
Yeah, it really
Yeah,
is.
that was very helpful.
I will say, and not that I'm a party to this long laundry list we just went through, but had the opportunity to sit in on quite a few meetings with our manager, with various entities, and I'm always very proud of our township and the interactions that our manager has with other entities. Very professional, cordial, and I think building those relationships, as he said, you've done a good job with that. And
Thank you.
but it's something you always work on, right? So, also appreciate the report. Anything else? That moves us to item 11C, Policy Governance 4.2, Accountability of the Township Manager. This point's a little bit more our way as a board. Do you have anything you'd like to add to this before?
I'll just note that there is paperwork on this begins on page 34 of your agenda packet. There's various sub-levels to this policy, but I will take the opportunity to read the highest level policy statement that's contained in your document, and it states that the township manager is the board's primary link to operational achievement and conduct, so that authority and accountability of the staff as far as the board is concerned is considered the authority and accountability of the township manager. There is an exception, and that's where staff is supervised by elected officials who are directly supervised by those elected officials, and they have deputies, and so they have those prerogatives. So this policy basically talks about the delineation, if you will, between the administration / manager's role and the board as a policy-making body. Over
Thank
to
you.
Thank you.
Assuming all of us have read through this. I guess, any comments on the policy itself before? Okay, so with that, how do you feel about the board's compliance with this?
I feel we're in compliance.
Anybody feel otherwise?
No?
I've been a trustee before under policy governance, and the guardrails are very much the same as with supervisor, but as with supervisor, there's some other things that come with it. And so I've really tried to make sure I stay in those guardrails. And I think I've come, I hope you feel this way too, come to a sweet spot where I feel the manager trusts I'm not going to cross those boundaries intentionally, and vice versa for that matter. But it took me a little while to figure out, because you want to talk to staff, you just don't want to take charge of staff. Or if I have communications with one of our directors, I make sure I include our manager so he knows what's going on one way or another. And I don't ever try to direct staff as much as I might have a question or something. And very often I'll communicate with Mark that I'm going to be calling Kim or Rodney talking about this, just so you're aware of it. But I think that's worked really well, because I was concerned about not crossing those boundaries. So I feel we're in compliance too, but I know I've been very conscious of that. So, all right. Nobody indicated we're not in strict compliance, so I want to ask about that. Anything we can improve on, though? We can always improve, right?
Not
I
at
try to
this
stay in
time,
my
I
lane.
don't think so.
What's that? I'm
I try
sorry.
to stay in my lane.
We all have lanes.
Clerk Cody said something, but I didn't hear it.
I said not at this time.
Yeah.
No improvements at this time. We're good.
Anything we continue to learn or discuss on this issue? I'm pleased with where we are as a board, personally.
I love this board.
I think communication is key, and I think we have excellent communication on the board. Sometimes it's very hard communication or subjects to talk about, but I think we have open and clear communication between all of us. Very important.
Appreciate that. So if there's no objections, we'll move on to 4.5, Township Manager Performance Review and Contract. So 2 meetings ago, which was when I was on vacation, the evaluation form was given out. And then last week, we had just the 4 trustees, so I think our vacation schedules have largely subsided. And it's nice to see 7 board members here tonight. But this is a very important part of the process that we go through each year, evaluating a manager. I guess as we did it last year, we did it differently than I think previous boards have done. And what I heard was that we were all pleased with that process, and so my assumption is that we'd continue with that. And if you don't remember, typically in the past, this was done by individuals. Sometimes trustees wouldn't even fill out an evaluation form. But we did it together as a board and collated the information, averaged it out. So we spoke as one rather than as individuals, which is how we should speak. And so unless there's objection, that's my assumption of how we'll go through this.
Excuse me. Can I
Yes.
just say one thing?
Absolutely.
So 11D says 4.5, but then actually the policy governance says
4.4
4.4.
policy.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't
Forgive
know
me.
if I is just missing something, but
No, I was gonna bring it up too.
Yeah.
So I just
Kinda
noticed
jumped the
that.
gun.
Yep.
Yes, thank you for that. I got a little excited.
That's all right. It says 4.5.
It says 4.5 on the agenda.
Right.
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, that's why I was confused today when I saw the 4.4. I'm like, oh, well, it's doing the same thing, or dealing with the same thing. So I hope everybody's had an opportunity to thoughtfully go through their packet and fill these out. We also asked our manager to leave last time. I'm okay with whatever this board decides, but is that what we want to do again as we go through the discussions? I'm asking here.
I'm open.
It doesn't matter to me.
No, it's very open. It's
Yes.
whatever you guys decide.
I'm fine with
How would you feel, Mark,
manager, dual dryer.
or
being-
manager, how would you feel comfortable either way, whatever you prefer to do?
I'm indifferent, whatever the board would like to do, I will certainly do it happily.
I was gonna say, either way, he can just go back to his office and
Yeah.
watch
Watch
us
us
anyway,
there.
so.
Is it? Yeah, it
Well,
doesn't matter.
Clerk Cody,
You know,
I haven't heard from two board members. How do you feel about it?
I don't care either way.
Trustee Hunt? All right, so
Let's
I'm
hearing
hearing
do
no
it.
objections to
Yeah,
allowing our
no,
manager
I
to
have
sit
no
in.
objection.
I think it's healthy for you to hear this discussion anyways.
Yeah.
And ultimately, what matters is our final report.
Ultimately, yes.
Yes. So, with that, I'll try to follow the model we did last time. And as a reminder again, too, the way we did it is we talked through each item. Some of us adjusted our scores based on dialogue with other trustees. But ultimately, you turned in your scores and comments to me. I collated those, averaged them out, sent them to the board for kind of a review to make sure I'm representing our view versus individual views, right? And then at a later date, probably maybe a meeting or two down the road, we would be actually doing the performance evaluation for real as a board rather than as individuals speaking. Correct?
Yep.
Okay. Did I explain that okay? Any questions?
Yep.
Okay. So with that, let's walk through this, and we'll just start kind of at the top. Any other suggestions, though, for improving the process?
No.
Okay. So, page 40 of our packet, global lens. The global lens take us 1.0 through 1.6. These are our top level items. And again, for the public, there's a five scoring method. One is unacceptable, 5 is excellent, 2, 3, 4 are in between that, so 3 meets expectations. But the first global end is Union Township exists to support a sustainable community through the most effective use of resources that achieve the highest quality of life. And I'll only make one comment, the same comment I made last year, because I remember making this, is this, we could grade both ourselves and the manager on this. Because the manager's job is to implement the ends, but we're the ones that also have to provide resources, et cetera, to make that all happen too. And if we're not living up our ends, that shouldn't be a reflection of the manager. That should be based on what the manager does with regards to these. Those are my comments from last year. So I don't know, people want to jump in, or you want me to go round robin?
That's fine.
Let's just start one in, work our way.
All right,
All right.
Trustee Brown?
Yeah, I gave us a 4 on that.
So did I.
So when you reflect it back to the manager and the board, seems like they gave us a decent score, in my opinion.
Me too. 4.
Okay.
4.
I actually gave us a 5 on that one.
I also did a 4.
I did 3.
4.
The reason why is I
Oh,
based
yeah.
it, the way I took this as, is the public too. I didn't do it as a manager in the township, because the way I read it, it's everybody,
No.
like the whole community. That's the way I read it, is what I'm saying. I read it this way,
Right.
so meets expectations, what I put.
Well, that's why I made the comment that we kind of went through this same process
Yep.
with the global ends. The other ones that reflect more on the manager. These can reflect on more than just the manager.
The top line says, please rate the performance of Mark's stool dryer for the items below.
Right.
That's what
so
it
it's-
says, right there, top line.
Okay, so how am I supposed to rate that? All
I agree.
residents enjoy a safe environment. How am I
Well,
supposed
it
to rate Mark
also
on that?
mentions sustainable, which
I
sustainable
think your 3 is good.
No, yeah, I do too.
I'm
But
just saying.
I
Yeah.
think,
Meets
and your reasoning
expectations.
is acceptable.
yeah.
You're good. I think.
Well, we had this discussion last year when we get to these first 3 or 4
Yeah, I don't
They're
like
very
those questions.
ambiguous. They're
I mean,
ambiguous.
a lot of it has no reflection on Mark. I don't-
Well,
He has
Yeah.
no control sometimes.
Right.
The way I look at it, and I read this and I say, okay, given what is in here, so given what we give Mark to implement this, how does he do at implementing this? So this global end, how is he at implementing this with what we give him?
And I think
Things
we
like
do
that.
have effective use of our resources. I really do. I think it's been thought out very well with the budgeting process.
Right.
And we're always presented with a great budget that we can work with within the lines. So
Right, and so this first one, I look at it as, Union Township and, supporting a sustainable community through the most effective use of resources to achieve the highest quality of life. So is he using an effective use of the resources that we're giving him to help implement the highest quality of life in the township? Things like that. That's just how I looked at it.
I looked at much the same way. Are everybody good with their scores?
Yep.
And as a reminder, some of us adjusted, right? So, I mean, if you feel like you need to downgrade or upgrade based on comments, now's the time to do it before you give it to me for collation, right?
yeah.
All right, we'll move on to 1.1, residents engage in a vibrant community life. Let's start there.
3.
3?
Again, 3, like, it's the residents engaged. I mean, you can't judge Mark on some of these questions, or the manager, or us, or any of it. That's the executive limitations. I mean, that's more where I focused on the manager. So, these are a little lower than the other part of.
I agree. I think we're all on the same page, actually, on this. So I also gave a 3, thinking there are limits to what we can do. I mean, it's something to strive for, and we can always do better on these things. But with what we have as a township and what we're able to offer, I think we're meeting expectations.
Okay, I gave it a 5 only because when I looked at this, I said, okay, does Mark do what he can to, with global ends and providing for the global ends to allow things out there for the residents to do that will help them engage themselves in a vibrant community life. So allowing them to have access to things that will help, help themselves have fun, so.
3.
3.
3, and I would like to speak on my, I say vibrant community life exists with all ages and experiences. I believe that we can maybe look at different age groups, and that's where I come with 3, because some age groups are definitely 5 in the community, but I think we have some, maybe a couple age groups that we could work on to be a little better in the community. And that was a reason for my 3.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I actually, when a little further down, when it actually talks about residents of all ages, and that's where I put that one.
I'm kind of curious as to if you're willing to share which age groups you think we're underserving.
Younger age groups. I'd say the teenage age groups. Difficult to do that when they sit at home and maybe just do this, because we're not going to give everybody an iPod or a gaming station, unless Mark's up. It's hard to come up with an idea how we improve, but I just raised 2
Right.
teenage kids, and that was their biggest gripe. There was nothing to ever do for their age, I kind of see that, so that's again why I came back with 3 and mentioned age groups and that.
Very good. All right, so 1.2, all residents can thrive and achieve more than their basic needs. We'll start back at you, Trustee Brown.
4, I believe we have more than ample opportunity to achieve our basic needs in Union Township. 4.
3.
3.
4.
3, and I'll qualify it just so our manager can hear this. we struggle with low-cost housing, and it's not just our community. And so that was what came to mind when I thought of that we could, and that's not always on us, I realize, but encouraging that. Clerk Cody?
3.
3.
Very good. 1.3, all residents enjoy a safe environment. Trustee Hauk?
3.
4.
I put 4.
4.
3.
3.
4, nice roads, nice parks, clean community.
Very good. Residents of all ages have facilities that enable an active, healthy lifestyle. Trustee Brown?
4.
5.
I put a 2. My reasoning for that isn't necessarily issue with this building, it may be the types of things that they can do. Wintertime, you know, what do you do in the wintertime? Where do you go in the wintertime to engage in an active, healthy lifestyle? Now, we can all do that from inside our own home. But that was kind of what stuck in my head more than anything was when it's cold. I know a lot of people tend to, you know, stick their hand out the door and go, I'm done, you know.
Yeah, our parks are geared towards the nicer seasons.
Yeah.
And pathways typically,
But we have,
And it's not for all age groups, again, like Trustee Brown had talked about.
but we do have some things to do in the winter. So there's Maury Courts, there's the, sports athletic complex thing.
Yep.
And there's, people walk at the casino, they walk at Meyer, they, if they're older, they walk inside. There's the senior center.
Yep.
It's all in Union Township that I know of, I believe.
I just, the reason why I gave it a 2 is more on us to maybe come up with some other ideas as well.
We're not
Yeah,
unlimited with funds, though.
But we're not, we have ideas that could produce something that, it doesn't have to be major, we don't have to reinvent the wheel here, I don't know, that's why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got you.
We'll make a cross-country ski track around the baseball field.
Used to have an ice
I
rink.
like it.
Used to have an ice
We
rink.
just gotta get the snow.
Treasurer Rice?
I actually gave it 3 on this one. There's, again, things in the winter time, not always things for all ages, or, not for everybody, kind of thing. So, I'll leave it at that.
And I gave it 3 as well. Probably my thoughts, some was walkability, bikeability in some of our community. City's pretty good, so once you get into the city, it's more populous. We're unique in that we both have rural and urban areas, so that makes it kind of tougher. But I think we're doing well with what we have, and but I didn't think we were excelling, and I didn't think we were failing either.
Right.
Clerk Cody?
I did a 4. There's so many things you can do. There's the bouncy house, there's, like you said, Maury Courts. I mean, there's so many things, you just need to know where to look for them.
All kinds of stuff.
There's lots of things for little kids.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the teenager ones, that's a little difficult because
Even
Yeah.
are they gonna
summer
wanna
camps
do
at
it?
Central and everything like that, so they
But
have
yeah,
all
there's a
kinds of
lot of
stuff.
things to do that,
You have to
you
reach
you
out
just
and
gotta
do it.
dig in and look for them,
Yeah,
That's true.
And
Part
that's
of
not
an
us.
active lifestyle and engaging in that is
Yeah.
personal initiative too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that,
Trustee
I
Hauk?
think the facilities
4.
are there.
Good.
Yeah.
We all good on that one?
Yep.
I appreciate this discussion on that, by the way. That brings us to 1.5, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Residents enjoy the natural resources and green space of the township.
4.
4.
I put
Oh.
3.
No, I put a 3 on that one, I'm sorry. I
No,
looked at
that's
the wrong
okay.
number.
sorry, I actually put 5 on that one. There's a lot of green space in the area and things to do, but
3.
I gave it a 5. I think, one of the jewels we have is CMU, and they have a lot of green space. It's accessible to the public, and I think we have just a ton of green space in this community. I just think that there are a lot of options.
I gave it a 4, but I bet you next year it'll move to a 5. I'm with Connie. I'm a big bike rider. We get out, we get into town a lot. We have a lot of green space right here in Union Township itself for great walking and riding. But yes, CMU. But I bet you my 4 will be a 5 next year as we get the trailhead moved through town.
Yeah.
Very excited about that as our our Parks and Recs looks at different options and things that we may look at.
That's exciting.
It's very exciting. That could possibly be an easy 5 next year for me. But 4 today.
The one of the concerns I had, I guess, and this isn't all on us, is the Chip River. I mean, that's a natural resource that can be utilized by a lot, and sometimes there's reservation. I mean, we've continued to have E. coli problems through the years, and that that's not something that's necessarily being created within the township.
DEQ thing, isn't that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I don't blame us for that, but
Okay.
but that is a great natural resource that we have in this community.
Yes, and they're making improvements to Majeski Landing, I think it is, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah,
and
that's the
also
one.
the sewer project that's going on to help
Right.
clean this E.
Yeah.
coli up.
Right.
Where we know where it's coming from, so they're in the process, so.
Again, not in our control very much. But it is, yes, it's getting better. Are we good?
Well, it would
Sorry.
eventually be nice if we could find some property to buy where we could put a park right on the Chippewa River. If people wanted to canoe, enjoy the views. I mean,
We
I
already
think
have
it-
Chippewa. I mean, that might not be
we
ours,
don't have
but,
a
oh, I know,
park
but
in
we,
Union Township
I follow you, but.
that's on the Chippewa River banks.
I'd never thought about that. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bill. Are we good?
Yeah.
Commercial establishments, including new, innovative, and traditional, are drawn to Union Township through commerce-friendly economic development policies.
2, and I explained that earlier
Yeah.
tonight. And I think we can improve on it. We need to.
I did 4.
And I put a 4, and I, Bill, Trustee Hout, sorry. I do appreciate your comments today. I mean, I guess I don't want to get into it more now, but I appreciate your comments today. But I also see a lot of good stuff happening.
Yeah.
And so I feel positive about it. But the concerns that have been raised, I always want to be aware of. And then the township should be aware of, and making sure that we're not getting in the way.
Yeah, if it was specific.
right.
If it's specific, just a general gripe isn't gonna help anybody. So specifics would be very good. And comparisons between whatever it was, Portland and here, we don't know what their fees are, we don't know what their tax base is, we don't know anything like that. So, specifics are better, my opinion.
But obviously, it's something we can continue
Yes,
to
sir.
improve on.
Oh, yes, sir.
Treasurer Rice?
I put 4. I unfortunately don't hear the stuff from Bill because nobody calls me about that. They call to complain about taxes, so he hears the other stuff. So, yeah, that's all.
I too appreciated Trustee Hauk's
Mhm.
comments. I'm glad he said something,
Yes.
and I hope you encourage those to reach out. But I gave us a 5. Being on the planning commission and knowing and I came out of the tail end of the work they did in reorganizing or reevaluating the ordinances through the help of staff. Bottom line is we made changes, but we approved them too. Mr. Nanny and his staff made recommendations. There was discussion. In the end, we're the ones that approved them. So I look at Mr. Nanny and his staff working with the ordinances that we have given him, and that I do want to very much hear from those that are concerned, however they want to communicate, so that we can, maybe there are some changes that we could make, maybe, you know, there's a side that we just didn't see, but nothing was done lightly, so.
And I would agree with those comments. I appreciate them, because I sat on the planning commission through much of that, the beginnings of that process. And I can assure, and I'm sure you know, the planning commission did their due diligence, and there was lots of discussion, and none of it, as you said, was done lightly. Are there oversights? Are there unforeseen or unintended consequences? Could be. But we
Anything
need,
in the book, we're the ones that, we said yes. So
right,
it really doesn't matter if somebody, you know, suggested, we could say no.
right.
We didn't, for the right reasons. It wasn't that way, but.
Yeah,
4.
4?
We have great opportunities here, and there are a lot of businesses that want to build here, and there's a lot of things to do.
3.
3? Are we good to move on?
Yes.
All right, so now,
The scores will go higher.
I know, right? Mine are.
that's what happened last year, at least. And I know we all struggle with that first section because they apply to the entire township, not just the manager. These begin to apply much more to the specific responsibilities of our manager. So, global executive constraint, policy 2.0, township management shall not cause or allow any practice, activity, decision, or organizational circumstance which is either unlawful, imprudent, or in violation of commonly accepted public administrative practice and professional ethics. Trustee Brown.
5.
5.
4.
5.
5.
5.
4.
Any comments? You're all graded high on that.
Yeah.
Policy 2.1, treatment of consumers. With respect to interactions with consumers or those applying to be consumers, township management shall not cause or allow conditions, procedures, or decisions that are unsafe, undignified, unclear, unprofessional, indirect, untimely, inaccurate, or unnecessarily intrusive. Trustee Howe.
3, and I think it's improved from last year when we had the discussion where emails weren't being answered, phone calls weren't being returned in a timely manner. I think that's improved. And not just, I don't mean Mark, I mean the whole staff.
Well, but the buck does stop at his desk.
Right, that's what we're talking.
4.
4. I put a 4, but I kind of wanted a 3.5, and I'll second a little bit what Trustee Hauk just said. I remember that discussion. Thanks for bringing it up. I didn't remember it until now, but I've seen improvements too. But this is something that's near and dear and important to me, that especially when we're talking about the community, that they are served, because they're the ones paying for this, right? Through their taxes. And so I want to be a little more hard grading on that and say 3.5, because it's such an important thing and we can always do better. But I think we're doing a much better job than we have in ever, maybe.
So I had put 5, not thinking about what Bill brought up. So I am actually going to change mine to a 4, because I was going back and forth on that, and so I'm going to move mine to a 4, because, didn't think of that.
4.
I'm going to go with a 4 too.
4.
4.2, like 4.2.
4 as well.
My apologies.
I was gonna make that joke too, but I didn't.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna go with 4, and I have a comment on this, because I did have, I think my first year as a trustee, no one ever contacted me. I don't even know if anybody ever even knew I was a trustee, to tell you the truth. But and Bill, I know you get a lot of calls. You've been on the board now for a while. Trustee, no, excuse me. But I've been getting more calls recently, and one of the calls I did get was a meeting at this office. Actually, a simple meeting at this office, just to tell me that whoever was at the front desk, and I don't know who it was at the time, was very responsive to their questions and extremely polite, and all their questions were answered. Now this,
Had to be Tara.
this person I ran into actually is a dear friend of mine, and I ran into in the grocery store. They did not know I was a trustee until we were just talking about our life, and they said, "Well, I was just in Union Township." Didn't even know they actually lived in Union Township. Hadn't seen them in a while, so thank you. And that's why I think I said 3 last year on this, and that's why it's a solid 4 this year with that interaction. I appreciate it. I wanted to share that, and I don't know if it was you. I don't know if it was you that answered or talked to her, but
Can I
may have
say
been.
something?
You may say it, yep.
Amy and I work really hard, and we pride ourselves on our customer service up there. So we've been working on it for a year now.
Well, it's shining through, and here's a prime example. Somebody, when I'm in the store, actually comes up to me and proves what you're doing is solid. Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you very
They
much.
they both
Thank
do an amazing job. I've
That's-
seen it.
That's why I got a 4. Next year, maybe 5.
And kind of back that up a little bit, I'm remembering now part of what led to the discussion we had last year with that. Bill and I had conversations on a few things from calls from individuals. And I will say, I still get the occasional call where somebody's upset, but I always take that with a grain of salt, and I try to hear them. And sometimes they just want to be heard, and it's not really anything the township did. Sometimes they have valid beefs. But I have heard a lot more of the positive comments, too. And I want to say that so you hear it, too, because you're kind of the face. But it's not just about Tara, too, because I hear that from our other staff interactions that community members have. And not that all of it's glowing, but it's certainly moved some good steps in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Yep, for sure.
Nice.
2.2.
Thank you. Wow, I was lost on my page. 2.2, with respect to the treatment of paid and volunteered staff, township management may not cause or allow conditions which are unfair, undignified, disorganized, and unclear or violate collective bargaining agreements. Where do we end up? I'm sorry. Trustee
Does
Brown? 4?
5.
I didn't know how to answer this one. I do have an answer, but I want to say that I've not heard of any issues with anything. So that's a good thing. That doesn't mean that maybe things don't happen that get taken care of it as well. So I put 3. I'm sure everything's acceptable. We haven't had any issues that I'm aware of. But deep down, I'm sure it's a 5, and that's not fair to Mark, and I apologize, or Manager Stuhldreher, sorry. So I just said 3. That's it.
Okay.
5.
This is one of the few that I put 5 on as well. And maybe I'm tainted a little bit because being a trustee long ago, back in 2012, I saw the environment. There's nothing. They don't even compare anymore. And so maybe I'm being a little generous, but I'm also so excited because I saw what a destructive work environment could cause. And interactions between staff that I see is amazing. Yes.
5.
4.
Okay, next one. 2.3.
2.3. Is that what you said, Clerk Cody?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Um,
Yes, I'm sorry, Trustee
I
Howard?
was gonna give you my.
Oh, yeah, let me read it for the
Yeah.
public's benefit. With respect to employment compensation and benefits to employees, consultants, contract workers, volunteers, and collective bargaining units, the township manager shall not cause or allow jeopardy to fiscal integrity or public image.
5. I mean, I think once people come to work here, very rarely do you see someone leave. I mean, I know we had someone leave here maybe a few months ago, but it's kind of hard when you're a young person and you get offered a raise that you just can't refuse. But I think it's a good environment here. We treat our employees very well. And I know Mark has a lot to do with that. It's improved since he's been here. So I give it a 5.
5.
I actually originally wrote down a 4, but listening to you, Bill, I don't like giving out 5s, but I'm gonna give out one more 5.
I gave it a 5.
5.
I love giving out 5s, and it's a 5.
I love giving this one a 5 because I love the people that work for Union Township. I've made
Yeah.
that very clear since I've sat on this board, and I'm very proud to be able to give the manager and the staff a 5 for this one, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we good to move on?
Yes.
2.4, financial planning, budgeting. Financial planning for any fiscal year or the remaining part of any fiscal year shall not deviate materially from board's ends priorities, risk fiscal jeopardy, or fail to be derived from a multi-year plan.
That's a 5.
I give it a 5, but I'd like to see our budget be a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan.
5.
5.
4, and I'm going to speak to the multi-year plan too, and something that I've been a proponent of for some time is the capital planning.
Yeah.
And we're actually beginning to take steps with that, with looking at what are our options in the future with our Township Hall facility in particular. I mean, I think we've always had that with our public works, but we continue to make strides towards that multi-year planning. They do all fold into that budget. I think if there's one frustration I hear from this board, but I'm not gonna knock the manager for this, is that sometimes we want to move in a certain direction, but that's next year's budget ends up being on, and so things don't always happen in the time frame that sometimes we all would wish. But I'm not blaming the manager for that. Just a general comment. So I give that a 4.
4.
4.
We good?
Yep.
Financial conditions and activities. With respect to the actual ongoing financial conditions and activities, the township management team shall not cause or allow the development of fiscal jeopardy or material deviation of actual expenditures from board priorities established in ends policies. Trustee Howe.
4.
4.
I actually put a 5 down.
I put 5 as well.
4.
5.
2.6, asset protection. Township management shall not allow corporate assets to be unprotected, inadequately maintained, or unnecessarily risked.
Again, this is another one I'd like to put a 5 on, because every time you drive around this community and see a township vehicle or piece of equipment, a trailer, a spare tire, I don't know, it's exceptionally clean. You walk by the truck, and I have several times just, I'd love to see a dirty truck once, just so I could say, Mark, I saw a dirty truck for once. Even the interior, the assets, and those are simple assets. I mean, I'm not even talking about the large assets of Union Township, like our facilities that are spotless, but even right down to the personal trucks, unbelievable. That's a 5 for me.
5.
3.
I put a 5. It's continually, things are very well maintained. I mean, we have people that come in every so often for window cleaning and that kind of thing. But even then, our ladies in the front, if they see a dirty window, they're going and cleaning them. So, I mean, it just, it's wonderful. So,
I gave it 4. I'm very proud of what we do there. But again, I'm still not liking giving 5s, even though I do.
4.
5, and I think that goes in along with 2.3 compensation and benefits. When you're taking care of your employees, they're gonna take care of you.
absolutely.
Good point.
Absolutely.
All right, 2.7, township management team may not enter into any grants and contract arrangements that fail to emphasize primarily the production of ends and secondarily the avoidance of unacceptable means.
4.
4.
4,
I put 5. I'm 5 heavy.
5.
4.
any comments?
I have to say that after we did our ends project this year, or whenever it was, last time we did it, I think we've seen a lot of things appear budgeted that we really wanted. So I think that's this whole thing. I think manager Stool Dryer is paying attention to what we want, and he's doing it. So that's it.
And trying to save while doing it.
Name of the
Anytime,
game.
anytime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Moving on to 2.8. And I'm saying that so in case I'm doing the wrong order, someone can correct me, but in order to protect the board from sudden loss of township manager services, the township manager shall not operate without a written plan identifying no fewer than two other named executives familiar with board and township manager issues and processes. Trustee Brown, I believe?
4.
4. All I know is there are 2 executives that are waiting to take over, but I don't know if they're adequately trained. I don't know that information, so I really can't say a 5 on that one, even though I wanted to.
4.
I actually gave this one a 5. There's many times that, well, before we didn't even have
Backup.
this,
Yeah.
and Mark made sure that we knew we weren't following this. But anytime Mark goes on vacation, he makes sure it goes back and forth between the 2 individuals on who's going to be the manager.
Absolutely.
They have training in it, and that they do. Is it weekly meetings, Mark, or is it monthly? Or anyway, there's meetings between him and the others to make sure that they understand what's going on. So I gave it a 5.
I'll give it a 4. I do like what I've seen. There has been a change from the past where I feel more comfortable that we have 2 executives within the organization, that even when our manager is absent for personal time off or whatever reason, they step in, and I enjoy working with them, and they work with us well. And I think that's made a huge difference. A brief comment, slightly off topic. I wouldn't mind looking at when we look at our governance policy again, looking at extending this maybe a little bit to look at avenues to protect department heads too. And I know there's cross-training that happens, but our department heads are becoming, I don't want to say as critical as a manager, but also if something sudden were to happen,
Yeah.
do we have a plan in place? And then we might, I'm not saying we don't, but is that a policy that we should have in place? And I'll leave it at that.
I did also want to say, I can't think of a single time, and maybe I just don't hear about it, but anytime he's gone, it runs smoothly even then because they've had the training. So I can't think of a time where it hasn't, but that says something too. Sorry.
4.
4.
Any other comments? 2.9, in order to maximize achievements of ends, the township manager shall not fail to explore strategic partnerships with, shall not fail to explore strategic partnerships and intergovernmental cooperation, and to optimize collaboration with other entities in the region where appropriate.
3.
4.
4.
4.
4.
4.
4, but I almost changed it to a 5 after reading this whole list. Everything that he does. It's 4.5, or a very strong 4, because it's 4.
Very
So
good.
which is it? 4? 4.5?
Well,
I'm still going back and forth. I'm gonna stay at 4 because we can always improve, but it's outstanding.
2.10, last of this type of item, the township manager shall not permit the board to be uninformed or unsupported in its work. Trustee Brown?
5.
4.
4.
4.
4.
5.
So I think we had 4s and 5. For the people that said 4, is there anything that you could suggest as a way to improve it?
I didn't say 4.
Oh, I was looking at you too.
I know, you're staring at me.
I couldn't remember who said 4, but
That's okay.
I mean, 4
was gonna say,
exceeds
right here.
expectations.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, I could.
I don't, but we're also to challenge staff and, you know, I have no complaints whatsoever. I mean, I could have said 5 and it would be more than acceptable to say 5. I mean, I have no concerns,
all right,
very happy.
for those that said 5, let me just ask, is there examples that you can lift up that maybe have improved over time in your experience that make it a 5? 'Cause I'm curious.
Manager Stool Dryer sends us random emails and lets us know about articles and lets us know about projects and, you know, things that it might have slipped our mind that we approved 3-4 months ago that all of a sudden got started, you know, and it's pretty exciting to have somebody on the street doing that for us because I don't have time to keep up with all that stuff. You know?
Yeah.
Well
It's
put.
pretty sweet.
Well put.
I'll tell you why I pushed
Oh, yeah,
into a
that's what
5,
my average
is because any question ever asked to our manager, he writes it down, goes back, writes us all an email, and
Yeah.
explains to us, in a very educated response, and it's very clear. And I appreciate that very much, and that's why I scored a 5. That's what pushed me from a 4 to a 5. His responses on any of our questions at any given time, responding back to us, is always very clear.
yeah.
I think we're pretty lucky because, you know, I've dealt with staff all my life, and when somebody works as hard as Mr. Stool Dryer does, you should be happy about it. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
So.
Another anecdote, and I won't give specifics, but I had an issue come up where I'd asked our manager about something. Turns out that the township had made a mistake on something, and the township took ownership of that. And not only that, but our manager was very forthright in response, and I appreciate the honesty because you want to sugarcoat things, you want to know facts, because that's what we work on, right? So
For sure.
Is that your comment?
that was a comment just on the being
2.2.
informed and the uninformed and unsupported, that we get informed and we're supported, and not always is the news what we want to hear. Like we had a main break or we get it all, right?
Yeah.
Are we good to move on from that? All right, so just a quick question from this board. I was trying to remember how we did the comments. I think we just articulated them all and shared with each other.
I think we did, but I can't recall.
I mean, I guess the
Sounds
question
good to
is,
me.
is that a reasonable approach to that?
Yeah.
Because these are a little different. All right, so I think we just, Trustee Hauk, we ended on you, correct?
Yes.
So, things the manager, what things does the manager do well?
I didn't write any
That's okay.
It's all general. I didn't
I did.
put any specific comments.
You want me to say my comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not gonna read them all.
Okay.
There's a lot of comments. No, okay, so this is from my personal, what I have seen, okay? So the manager works great with all staff employees that I have seen, okay? I've seen him watch the front desk if needed.
Yeah.
I mean, how many managers, will come out and watch the front desk while, somebody runs the post office or whatever. But, so he helps with difficult customers, I guess that would be a way to put it. Helped me with difficult customers. I've seen him help, the staff up front with difficult situations, I guess you could say. So those are some of the things I wrote that he did well. Do you want to know the bad things too?
Well, this is,
That's-
does well. The next one is improves on.
Yeah, so we'll come back. And so,
Okay.
I kind of bullet item this a little bit. Organizational management, just general management of the organization itself. I think phenomenal. Informing the board on relevant issues, which we did a grade on, but I want to lift that up as something that I feel our manager does well. I was trying to read my own writing here, taking a measured response or action in virtually all activities. In other words, I feel our manager is even keeled. He doesn't overreact, doesn't seem to underreact, tries to approach things pragmatically, and that's very much appreciated.
Mine was kind of touching on that too. I put down Mark is very good at making sure to follow ends when getting things done. He's great with the staff and their needs. And most importantly, in times of crisis, he gets the job done and done well, minimizing the impact on the township. And so we've put him to the test the last few years, and he's done very well at it, in my opinion. I don't think it would have ran as smoothly at the beginning of when I came on. So I think it's very, very nicely done. So.
I believe Manager Stuhldreher is patient and thorough when explaining items on the agenda and in the township. The manager is good with follow-up and has encouraged the board to improve itself through outside training, which I've had the opportunity to I did one last year. This year we have the opportunity through the online, through the MTA. So I think that's very important. Thank you.
The manager interacts with citizens with knowledge and professionalism. Going back to your measured response, this even keel, it's absolutely true. He always thinks very carefully before answering a question, especially when some irate consumer is in the audience and wants an answer, maybe that we don't have. So then the other thing is that he communicates and collaborates with other government officials. And I know that because I talk to other government officials and they tell me Mark's at the table. He's always at the table. So that's all I got on that.
I'll start out with, it's always hard to make comments because I met Mark 2 years ago. We see each other twice a month. We don't have a lot of communication. I may have a few questions into his office maybe 5 times and 10 times maybe in 2 years. So this is only my view through my eyes, of course. But it's really hard for me to comment on when I don't see the day-to-day operations like each one of you do much more thorough than I do. But communication and organization, I believe, is a very strong suit of our manager. The manager, I believe, understands his position and authority with the Union Township. Manager is also very good at managing his staff and himself, which sometimes can be difficult for a manager. Also, the manager is involved in the community and holds this township at a very high level when he represents us. I believe we're very lucky to have this manager. That's all I have to say.
Very good. So I have a question. Wasn't part of our review process last year, didn't we kind of ding communication a little bit?
Did what?
Yeah,
Didn't we
did.
ding,
Yes.
we
Oh, we
dinged
did.
communication a
yes.
little bit, and that was one of the things we asked as a board for
Yeah.
improvements on. And what I keep hearing is, we're all seeing that, and I hope that's a
For sure.
correct statement.
Yes.
Yes?
My next comment has something referring to that.
All right,
We'll
okay.
come right back to you then.
Cart before the horse.
So let's start back over with Trustee Brown, areas the manager could improve on.
I do not have a comment at this time for improvement.
I have the one I mentioned earlier, which was that the budget should be part of a longer term multi-year plan, like a 5 or 10-year plan. And then the other thing is that the manager's monthly reports, and this is just a personal observation, but I like to see the big things highlighted, you know, that are big. It's a huge report, so sometimes you get caught in the minutia and you don't see the big things. So if that could be highlighted, that are, you know, more important. That's all.
My comment isn't really something that the manager could improve on, it's just more something that I would like to see. I'm sure it's something that's coming. But I would like to have discussions in regards to the ARPA funds and more like a review of the parameters to which the funds can be spent. So we are working on educating ourselves based on, because it's changed a lot. I'm sure it's probably pretty well set now. So that's not really improvement. It's just more, I took the opportunity to put something I'd like to see.
Yeah.
The only thing, which really isn't even his, but I put down trying to get a more diverse activities for all individuals in the township, like maybe things for our disabled to do at some of our parks or something, or and maybe this is just me not knowing things in the area, if there's something in Union Township and that, but just making sure that there's something for everyone. Yeah, and that's not necessarily him, but just something I thought of.
I think my list was a little longer last year. I only have one item on here, and I don't know if it's, I tried to come up with stuff, and I'm sure if I spent more time, maybe even, but I tend to offer, Mark and I meet regularly, and I tend to offer those kinds of things on a regular basis, both accolades and criticisms. But I guess if there's one thing that kind of stuck out for me for whatever reason, it's the activity reports that you referred to. And I like your idea. I'm not sure how he would judge
I don't.
what's most important, because something might be more important to you than to me, and vice versa. Maybe certain things are more important to the board as a whole based on ends or something. But the activity report isn't always timely, and that was the one thing that I could think of that
Yeah, that too.
that's fallen, and I don't know how much work that really puts on not just our manager but also the staff. Because to me, it's an important document. It's how you learn what the heck's been going on.
I'm
So-
sure it's not quick with as thorough as
No,
they do on
I'm
that.
sure. So I question the cost to the township to produce that, but it is valuable to me.
Yeah.
Cody? Clerk Cody, sorry.
I put, in the past, I said the communication, but I feel he has greatly improved in this area, and at this time, there's nothing he needs to improve on.
I had one thing, and James brought it up. I looked back on this, I looked back at some old minutes from our board on September 8th last year, or August 8th last year. I asked if we could have a work session to discuss what we were gonna do with ARPA funds. And like you said, we still haven't done that. That's the only thing I had there.
Well, I hope our manager gets something from this, because that's the point of it. If nothing else, I got stuff from it.
Who gets
We
it?
still have general
Oh, we got one
comments on the back.
Oh, general comments? Oh, yeah, my apologies.
I don't
I
have
had
that
something there
page.
too. Oh,
I don't have that.
Sorry. I had stuff.
my apologies.
That's it.
Trustee Hout.
Well, it's just general comments, Lisa.
Oh.
And general
Boy,
comments,
boy,
like,
boy.
and I just wrote this down because last year we asked Mark to leave the room because I didn't feel comfortable. I think some of us didn't feel comfortable doing this, but I feel more comfortable with him in here now than I did last year when he wasn't in the room. So I like this process.
My general comment?
Bill, you're done. I'm sorry, Trustee Hout, you're done,
Are you
right?
done? My general comment, I think the manager's doing a great job. Employees also have told me he's doing a great job, and that he is a great boss. I left it at that. People told me
It's
that.
hard
Like,
to-
a lot of them
it's-
told me
it's
that,
hard to
just
be-
not like one or two.
Yeah, from an employee perspective, it's hard to be a great boss and actually do your job well too, because a lot of times
Yeah.
It's one or the
employees
other.
are
It's
not
hard.
not your friends. They're your coworkers that you're responsible for.
It's hard
And it's
to
a
have
different.
that
Yeah,
perfect
it's hard to have
balance.
that.
Yep.
Um,
I mean, I can show you some pictures of text on my phone from what employees have said about me. But that's not surprising.
I can-
You're
think-
blunt, and that's okay.
I think my general comments were something that I didn't feel were spoken to already by all the other stuff we just covered. And it was a lot of these meetings that I happened to attend, whether virtually or in person, and it's Mark and I, or Mark and I and another staff person, or Mark and I and another trustee and maybe a staff person, but these intergovernmental or other organizational meetings, in particular, I have to be careful here. I'm not trying to slam any other administrators, but interact with the other administrators, meaning municipal administrators. And I have great respect for all of them. But boy, am I glad Mark's on our side. And I'll just leave it at that.
I just put down, for the most part, the manager has excelled. There are a few things here and there, but not many. And so I'm just very thankful. I'm thankful for Mark and how he handles things. So
I feel manager Stuhldreher and staff are focused for today and for the future of the township,
Yeah.
which is a nice feeling.
It's a big compliment.
That is all.
Great job! Exclamation point.
Well, I guess I'm the last one, huh? Every remark that I had in there says, I believe, And Mark, I'd like to tell you, I have 2 sentences here on general comments. And I wrote this when I was having dinner with my daughter and my wife tonight. And the first sentence, I believe that Mark and his staff do a wonderful job for Union Township. The second sentence was from my wife and my daughter. We believe and are very lucky to live in Union Township and have the management, staff, and team that we do. Thank you. That's from my family. Thank you.
That's awesome.
That's all I gotta say.
Wow. Okay, so, what I would like is, if you've taken any notes, made any adjustments to your scores, that's fine. But if you're okay with me collating, or if someone else would like to do it,
Well, I actually was
You would?
gonna let you know. I actually was gonna let you know as we were going around. I missed 1.0 and 1.1, but I got everything else on everybody's numbers that they mentioned. So I'm missing 1 on 1.1 and 1 on 1.0. So, but other than that, I have them all in the document, and I can give it to you.
okay.
If you
Do we
want.
mind if we just quick, do bookkeeping to
Right.
figure those out?
Yeah, that would be great.
1.04.
Wait, I can't find, 3.
4.
4, 3, 4. And I was a 5, so 4, 3. I think I'm missing a 4, but go ahead.
4.
4.
Okay, yep, I'm missing a 4 on that one. Okay. And 1.1.
3.
Oh, sorry, hang on.
What?
Okay, 3.
Oh, Tara has 1.1.
Hmm?
Oh, am I doing
What's
it?
your 1.1?
She already has it written down.
Well, she's
Well,
got it in a
3.
document though, she's gonna,
Oh.
3, 3, 3.
Yep.
you have it in Excel already?
Yes. Or I've got it right on the evaluation form. So
Oh.
5.
Oh, I thought-
3.
3.
3.
Okay, 3. All right.
That's
Thank
it?
you. Yeah, I've got all
So-
of them.
The only other piece of data here, and
Is-
this time the manager got to sit and hear those comments. But I think if we're giving a final report from the board, it should include all the data.
Yep.
Okay.
So would it be better to take your packets and I'll just
I'll make a copy
type them
of
in,
it.
make a copy of it and give me a copy?
Yes.
Can we do that after the meeting? And then that
Yes,
way,
sir.
I'll take the comments and collate them all together and then take the data from Treasurer Rice and get us a final document and then I'll send that out to the board. So you can review the draft of that. Let me know if there's any issues with it. Because if not, then my expectation is that we would bring that back to the board for a formal review of the manager as one, rather than individuals.
And regular
Perfect.
meeting?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Should not be as lengthy, I would not think, as
I hope not.
this. Other than the manager at that time may want to interact with us in a different way than he has this evening. Sound like a plan?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so those that don't want to give up the originals, get them copied after. If there's no objections, we'll move on.
No objections.
To item 12 in the agenda, extended public comment. Extended public comment is restricted to 5 minutes regarding any issue. Note that if you address the public, please state your name and address for the record. Tara, do we have anybody
We do not.
in the room? Okay. So, seeing no one in the room virtually nor publicly, we will open up extended public comment at 9:04. Give it 5 seconds. No one coming forward. We'll close extended public comment at 9:04. That brings us to item 13, the manager's comments. Well, we talked a lot tonight, and you get to sit.
Well, on the discussion that was just had by the board, a few minutes ago, I want to sincerely thank you for your considered input, your comments. I know they were thoughtful and well thought out. You spent time on it, and I do feedback, positive, negative. I'm here to serve this board, by extension, the community, and it helps me do that better by the time and effort you put into exercises like you did tonight. I think you've heard me say it before, I really enjoy working for Union Township, the residents of Union Township, and in particular, this Board of Trustees. I've worked several places, and it's really humbling almost. But and a lot has to do with, the environment. And this working for you all as trustees, and how you work together, how you work with me, how you work with the staff, all plays into that. My performance is a reflection of the staff's performance, and whatever positive things are going on here, I need to thank and acknowledge them. The staff really is, amazing. They have a tremendous work ethic. They have really strong personal ethics, and I don't want to say morals because that kind of gets, and that makes life a lot easier as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
And then just if you have any feedback as it relates to the hybrid type of meeting, you got a little flavor of it tonight, call me, email me. We can, we're going to adjust this a couple times before we roll it out to the Planning Commission and the EDAs of the world. So if you have any feedback, just let me know. It is going to require a little bit of patience on everybody's behalf as we are wrapping up and everybody's trying to get the final projects in for the construction season. It's not just Union Township, it's all over the country. There's a tremendous amount of infrastructure work going on in every state. I drove through half of Michigan and half of Indiana over the weekend, and from interstates down to local roads, it is really everywhere, and it does require patience, but it's needed. And so, to get to the good, we gotta deal with a little bit of inconvenience, and so that's it. Thank you.
If it's okay, I'd like to give one piece of feedback for the hybrid perspective, because I think it's good for the board to hear it too. What I noticed, and I was trying to be more conscious of it, but microphones. It's one thing when we're projecting here within the room, and maybe Hazen can help me out if this is an issue or not, but when the microphones aren't there, I don't know how well they're hearing it.
Yeah, it's not that great. It would just need to be cognizant, need to speak into the microphone.
And I noticed Trustee Bills, you would often bring it down when you would speak, so I'm not picking on you necessarily, but I did see that be conscious of where the microphone is when you're choosing to speak, so.
So don't pull it down?
Do pull it, yes.
Yes.
Talk
Yes.
into it. Don't
And-
leave it up like that, like
Yeah.
I was doing.
Right.
And I think
I know.
during our practice run through, we found that the lower, like right in here, it actually helped you hear it better than say up here or even here, and it may just be that Mark projected really well, but when his microphone was down here, they noticed it was louder as well. So, yep.
And we didn't have public tonight necessarily much, so,
No.
virtually at least, so. That was my one comment.
Appreciate it.
We'll move on to item 14, Final board member comment. Trustee Howe?
I just wanted to let everybody know, they probably got it in the mail today, that our township cleanup day is gonna be October 1st too. That's kinda cool, cause it's in collaboration with, collaboration with the tire pickup at the fairgrounds for the county. And Black Cherry Fago is on the shelves at the stores.
Any burners or?
Or Verner's
Oh,
Black
it is.
Cherry. I'm sorry, Verner's. I said Fago, Verner's. I just bought some. I love that stuff.
I do too.
I don't
Can't
drink
believe
pop,
I said
so.
Fago. No, it's good stuff. So,
Appreciate the public service announcement.
they owe me money now.
Clerk Cody? I'm going to bring up one issue, and I shared it with the board a little bit, but we've seen since, I guess, the 2020 election, these large FOIAs come in for election information. And I know our clerk has been, and some staff has been overtaxed with what that is. And it's not that the township doesn't recoup some of those costs, but, you know, our clerk's job is not paid as quite a full-time job, but some of the stuff takes a tremendous amount of work. And it's part of my motivation for sharing that. One was informational, just so you're aware of it. But I also wanted the public to know that, you know, I've heard comments, well, this kind of stuff's going on in the country, but not in my community. Well, it's going on in every community.
Yep.
Every township, every city, it's everywhere. And I feel for our clerk, because if I'm in that spot, how do I do this job when, you know, not just anybody can touch those ballots, not anybody can just touch the stuff that's being requested. And so I just want to plant the seed that for you all to think about, if you haven't already, and we have kind of talked about this briefly before, but is there a way that our clerk can be properly compensated for that type of change in her role? And this may not go on forever. This might be a thing that lasts a year or two and then goes away. And I mean, we always have FOIAs. That's the normal part of operations. But it's been, the FOIAs that have come that I'm speaking to are massive and take months sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And so I just want to lift that up, and one, I want to pat our clerk in the back because she's had to deal with some of that, but it's not fair to her either.
Piggybacking on that, I've been to many council of governments meetings, and when you get talking about township clerks, I've brought this up before, there are many township clerks in this county that don't understand why we don't have a full-time clerk. They think our clerk should be full-time. They're surprised that she isn't, or that position isn't, I'm sorry.
And you have brought that up, and
Yeah.
and maybe that's the solution. I'm not sure what the solution is, but I feel it's there's a problem here that needs to be corrected because it's not fair to our clerk.
No. Well, and there could be cross-training too, you know, the clerk can also, if there's.
Well,
Can't.
the
No.
the problem
No.
is
serve the
there's
public.
No.
Oh.
there's a lot of things that only the clerk can touch.
Yeah.
No, I think
I think
Trustee
even-
House means the
cover the
reverse.
front desk
Oh,
and
covering the
stuff
front.
like that.
Gotcha.
Right. So when you're not busy with your clerk position, you can help out with other township
Right,
activities.
right.
Yeah.
So if it
Gotcha.
was a full-time position, the clerk would be able to, if somebody was on vacation out front, she could cover.
Gotcha.
Right.
That person could cover, I shouldn't say she.
Well, isn't that a defined position? Like, because it's an elected official, isn't that, aren't the job duties defined?
Yes, but you could take on extra responsibilities in the office, though.
Okay.
I think that's what Trustee Houck was
That's right.
I
suggesting.
think it
yeah.
is.
Well,
Yeah.
it's
It
like,
is.
yeah. I mean, other township clerks, they also write out all the checks for the township.
They also
What?
only have 8
I-
checks.
Yeah.
Well, we have people to do that.
Yeah.
Other townships, other
There are some
townships
that
have
don't.
5 people. They have,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, a supervisor, 2 trustees, a clerk, and a treasurer.
You probably don't have 10,000
Some-
residents right outside
Right.
of Mount Pleasant
Right.
in a
Yep.
good tax zone.
There are some
So, you know,
townships,
just-
their supervisor and clerk are the same individual.
Yes,
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
there's a lot of
Lot
different
of-
townships.
absolutely.
Well, there is a budget process coming up, and I don't know if this board wants a solution to this, or if there is one solution in mind that we have, but I wanted to plant the seed that we should all think about it.
I followed a thread on MTA with all the clerks chiming in about all the work, and I know that there's a fair number that won't be running again.
Yeah.
So,
There's.
so you know, the fact is, when we are without a clerk, we will know what we missed. So, you know, that's where we're at.
I speaking of clerk, I did have a question on election. You're still looking for people to work, correct?
Yeah.
So, here's my plug. Let's get some helpers for her. We need people to.
And we're
Get
paying
trained.
$12 an
Training.
hour? Is it $12 an hour?
14 and
Four-
6, or 14
14.
for the regular.
So if you know someone that
14.
wants to work an election,
They
have them
to
give
go-
her a
and
call.
They have to do
They
training.
have to do a training.
Yes, there's
Yeah.
a training that has to happen.
Is it all day or what is it?
It's a couple hours.
Oh, it's a couple hours.
Yeah.
All right, so you don't.
Gee.
You
Yeah,
you good?
that was
Okay.
my plug.
Trustee
We're good.
Therian?
I would like to have discussion in regards to proper compensation, in regards to the clerk position. I did have at one point in time, someone from another township that I respect came up and just in conversation. I didn't bring up the conversation, it just happened to be, their comment was, the clerk is not, Union Township clerk position is not compensated for the work that's being done. It wasn't a slam, it was just a conversation. To agree with Bill about our process for the evaluation, you know, looking back, when we did this, before we did this last year, I actually tried to go back in and look at some of there was like 2 of them that I could watch. And the process that we did, I think surpasses what the past was. I think we improved it then, and I think we improved it tonight. I don't know if you had mentioned a way to improve it. We improved it tonight by allowing Manager Stuhldreher to be present. So I'm very comfortable with this process, and obviously always open to if there's a even better way we can do it. That's it.
Can I just follow up on that very briefly?
No. Yes,
Next.
please. Please.
I guess I just want to ask, in general, are we comfortable with that process again for next year? That way I don't have, because when it was coming up in our packet, I'm like, I don't know if what we did last year is going to be how we expect it to be done. Obviously, if we have thoughts on how to improve the process this coming year before we get there, we can discuss those, but otherwise, I'll plan, at least from trying to lead the meeting, that's the process we'll go through.
Until there's even better solution, I would love to see this happen every year.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would like
That
this
expectation's
process
open.
unless somebody comes forth and presents something
Better.
better.
It's fine with me.
Trustee Bills?
Yes, as I mentioned a minute ago, I think the clerk salary discussion would be a good idea, because otherwise we might not have a clerk. And we need one because of all the FOIAs, all the election duties, the AV ballots, and all that stuff. It takes time. I don't know if she keeps a log of her hours or whatever, but I know one township has switched to a flat rate per hour, $25 an hour for their clerk, and if we had to do that, her salary would be a lot bigger. Other than that, winter's coming.
Gotta go fall first.
Yeah, we're sleeping
I just wanted to ask our manager one question. There was a comment made about the signage for the Renaissance school that we're going to do. Do you know when that may take place? Because I have had a couple phone calls on that, and so I'd kind of like to have my ducks in a row as far as if I could answer it properly or how to answer, or call this person back and comment on it. Do we know when that's going to fall in, timeline-wise, maybe? When we're going to be able to put signage out there?
I can get a more specific answer tomorrow.
Perfect.
When we landed on it, it was a 4 to 6 week delivery time, and then the installation, which is being done by the road commission, and we were kind of hoping it would be in, we knew it'd be closed before the start of the school year. And
So
that's
we're
imminent.
talking maybe yet this fall.
Oh,
for
yet
sure.
this fall, no question
Oh,
about
okay,
that.
that's all I really needed, actually. They're more
It
concerned
might be
whether it
in
was
the
going to be
next-
the school year.
Might be installed in the next 4 weeks.
Well, there's
okay.
continuing discussions with that school. I mean,
Yeah, right.
you know,
yeah.
it's grown so much. They just added what? A couple grades there a couple of years ago. I know we did a big project when they added a couple of grades, and there's no busing. They
Yeah.
need a different ingress and egress.
It's a
They
tough
need to-
And-
situation.
It's terrible.
And just, we're in the process. I was actually at the meeting that it was Mark, myself, Rodney, and some Renaissance members. And we're in the process, man, I can talk, of coming up with some possible solutions. We just have to get our ducks in a row. So, it is something that is being worked on. It's just lots of hoops. So,
I think we've all noticed over the years. I mean, you go half a mile down the road when you're even at the middle school now. I mean, you see kids walking a half a mile away, their parents dropping them off. It's that long. I mean, buses are available and people aren't using buses anymore. I just don't think very many kids ride buses anymore.
Well, they cut the routes quite a bit.
They did.
So they're long distance travel, there's bus routes for, but if you're a mile out, you're
Yeah.
walking.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I to circle back on that, I appreciate, because the safety of any of our students must come first. So I appreciate that, and then I will call I'll call the person and let them know that what we're looking for. But other than that, thank you for. I just think this process was so much better than last year. I really do. Mark, staying in the room, big plus. I like that. What a great meeting. A good night. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I
That's all
agree.
I have.
And with that, just a reminder for those that want to give me a copy or your original, whatever you're more comfortable with after the meeting, and I'd be happy to entertain any motions for adjournment.
I'll
I'll
make
make-
a motion to adjourn this meeting.
support.
I'm gonna put it with mine.
Motion by Brown, support by Rice. All in favor to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.
You're gonna get a copy? 'Cause I
Okay,
see-
great.